Hey guys, I've finally decided to go ahead and post this video. I know I promised this like a month ago, but I really just, I don't know, I love procrastinating. So anyway, today on The Sims 4, we're recreating 6 Disney princesses. This will of course be part 1. We will have a part 2 when I've finished filming that video. I have not started actually. Anyway, so we're starting off with Belle. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Belle is the protagonist of Disney's 1991 animated feature film Beauty and the Beast. She is an educated and individualistic young woman who was outcasted by her small provincial village for her beauty and forward-thinking ideals, turning to books as a form of escapism. Inspired by her love of reading and fantasy, Belle yearned for a life of adventure and unexpectedly gets her wish when she encounters a mysterious castle ruled by a beast. She is referred to as the most beautiful woman in town by Gaston. She has long brown hair, hazel eyes, rosy cheeks, and apparently she has a heart-shaped face. I didn't know this when I was recreating her. Okay. But anyway, I think I got her face shape close enough. But then again, I might be just saying this so that I don't feel the need to go back into the game and fix her. Anyway, all of my Sims for this video will be a more modern take on their recognizable outfits. Otherwise, their outfits will be more so based on their personalities. So for example, Belle, I wanted her to look like the type who goes to the library often, like the quiet girl focused on her studies and all that. I did also, by the way, I did want to sort of keep them looking a little Disney-like still, in the sense that they have, round cheeks and big eyes, which is why if you follow me on Patreon or if you've seen my previous Speedcast videos, these girls don't necessarily look like the type of Sims I would normally post or create. Also, all the CC items used in this video will be linked in my Patreon. Anyway, Belle. Can I be totally honest and say that the live action version of this movie of Beauty and the Beast wasn't my favorite? I mean, sure, it's one of the better ones, like, don't get me wrong, but there's something about it that didn't make me love it as much as I loved like the Cinderella live action one or even the Maleficent one. But the Maleficent one is kind of like on its own league, you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily based on it is based on a Disney princess, sure, but like it's more focused on the villain, the antagonist. Anyway, I digress. The live action for this movie is definitely though like in my top 3 for sure, because it's literally one of the only ones that I go back to watch and still enjoy. In fact, I think it's like the one of the only live action versions where I prefer watching it over the animated version. Moving on, we have our second Disney princess, Princess Tiana. Love this movie. It's like one of the modern ones that I actually really love rewatching in terms of like animated films. So anyway, Tiana is the protagonist of Disney's 2009 animated feature film, The Princess and the Frog. She is a gifted cook living in New Orleans during the Jazz Age, with a dream of opening a restaurant of her own. In a desperate attempt to achieve her goal, Tiana shares a kiss with a prince that had been magically transformed into a frog by a voodoo witch doctor. In doing so, however, Tiana also falls victim to the frog spell, setting off on an adventure in the bayou to find a way to break it. Tiana is an intelligent, resourceful, and highly talented young woman. However, at the start of the film, and mostly throughout, she can be overly uptight and far too absorbed in work ethics to focus on relaxing, family, and friends. Though she notices this and appears to have some regret over her busy schedule, her obsession with bringing her dream of opening her own restaurant into fruition overshadows it all. Tiana firmly believes nothing deserves to be obtained in the world unless it's done through hard work. And you know what? I wish I grew up with her. I want her ambition and dedication. I think like she's such a strong character that even as an adult you can relate to her maybe a whole lot more. I mean, I I barely remember some of the lessons that were taught by other Disney princesses, especially the ones that haven't had a live action adaptation. And if I can be completely honest, Prince Naveen always makes me want to go back. Oh my god, I'm literally such a freak. What the fuck? Anyway, before I get any more carried away, I was debating on whether or not I wanted to do the waitress outfit, the green gown, or the outfit that she does end up wearing later in the video. Um, I just think that when I think of her, I don't immediately think of the green gown. I don't know why, when that's like her iconic outfit, but whatever. I ended up choosing the tube gown she wears in that one scene where I think she's singing to her mom about her dream to open up her restaurant, her own restaurant. I chose to recreate that bit because one, it was more my speed in terms of like style, and two, to coincide with the whole idea of recreating these girlies with a more or in a more modern context. I thought this outfit was the most passable as a modern outfit. Next up, we have Cinderella. She is a young woman from a wealthy family whose widowed father remarried a woman with two daughters of her own when Cinderella was a child. After her father's untimely death, Cinderella was forced to work as a maid for her stepfamily, regularly facing abuse and humiliation. Despite this, Cinderella remained kind and strong willed, and her everlasting faith and dreams of a better life eventually manifested itself in the fairy godmother, whose magic became the catalyst for Cinderella's ascent from servant to princess. Cinderella declared herself independent and strong willed by remaining kind hearted and self loving. Unlike her cruel stepfamily, not allowing the bitterness surrounding her life to overtake her and morph her into someone as cruel as her stepfamily. She makes the most of her misfortunes, by remaining optimistic of the possibilities of a brighter future, keeping herself preoccupied with enforced housework and friendly bonds built with her pets, birds, and dozens of mice that have found themselves trapped over the years by Tremaine's mousetraps, only to be rescued and spared by Cinderella. Did you hear that? That was my doorbell. It's so loud. I'm like on the second floor, all the way across from the doorbell. Literally across the house. That was, Anyway, I digress. Going back to the video, Cinderella is a young woman with a softly shaped, kind heart-shaped face. Kind heart-shaped face. Her skin is fair and flawless, and she has soft pink lips, thin strawberry blonde eyebrows, and ocean blue eyes. Cinderella's hair is light strawberry blonde and medium length with soft blunt bangs. Right. Whole time I thought she was just a regular blonde woman. I mean, to be fair, the live action version, she was just a regular blonde. Character wise, Cinderella's never really been my favorite princess. Honestly, I wasn't that big of a fan of her animated movie, but I do for some reason really enjoy the live action version with Lily James. I don't know, it might be the rats that put me off. Like, I'm not a big fan of animals, let alone pests. I did also recently watch the version with Brandy. While I did like that version as well, it just didn't top the 2015 version for me. I think it's partly because it's an older film. I don't know, but I mean, I did like it. It is for sure one of the top like 3 Cinderella remakes that I like. I'll tell you what's not on that list though, is the one with James Corden. I watched it once and I rewatched Dylan is in Trouble's commentary on it a few times the year it was released, but I legit have no recollection of what happens other than the prince having an ear piercing and the stepsister slapping their cheeks as a natural blush. And that's not even because those are like the funniest bits in the movie. It's genuinely because of Dylan is in Trouble mentioning it, getting irritated by it. Anyway, going back, I didn't really want to make her wear a dress. I kind of went with like a modern milkmaid type of outfit, I guess you could say. Something like a little cottagey on the upper half of her body, and then just casual everyday wear on her lower half. I don't know. I got inspiration from Kennedy Walsh's like outfit inspos based on different Disney princesses. I just felt like that outfit she wore was a good basis for me to get inspiration. Next up, we have Rapunzel. Oh my god, wait until you see her face. I think she's like the best one that I've made this day. I keep saying like, but anyway, she's really pretty. Let me tell you a little bit about my girl, Rapunzel. Rapunzel is the protagonist of Disney's 2010 animated feature film, Tangled. She is the Princess of Corona, known for possessing 70 feet of magical golden hair. As a baby, Rapunzel was abducted by Mother Gothel and locked away in a remote tower for 18 years, during which she grew fascinated with the phenomenon of floating lights that would appear only on her birthday. With the help of Flynn Rider, a thief, Rapunzel escaped from the tower to learn more about the lights and pursue her dream of exploring the outside world. Rapunzel is loosely based on the titular protagonist of the 1812 fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. Rapunzel is a spirited and determined young woman. Throughout her adolescence, she has dreamt of escaping her tower to experience the outside world. However, due to the strict order of her sole parental figure, Gothel, Rapunzel remained inside the tower. The use of manipulation and emotional abuse in her upbringing by Gothel has led Rapunzel to believe that the world is highly dangerous, and that remaining in the confines of her sheltered walls is in her best interest. Additional misfortunes born through Rapunzel's upbringing would include such traits like anxiety and low self-esteem. In the film, Rapunzel is an 18-year-old woman with fair skin, pink lips, rosy cheeks, large green eyes, and light freckles around her nose. She is 5'1" and she is famously known for her long golden blonde hair. Although her hair is naturally brown like her biological parents. As you can see when it's cut later on at the end of the movie, it turns brown. Anyway, recently, like about 2 months ago, I think, the official cast got announced for the live action remake. I don't know about you, but I'm both excited and wary about it. I love this movie, and it's mostly because of Eugene, not the actor playing him. Eugene the character, okay? Let's get that straight. I wish he was real. He's just such a good male character. A lot of the Disney male love interests are just there. But Eugene, Naveen, and Aladdin, they're like the best of the best in terms of well-written animated male leads in these princess movies. I think it might be because I grew up with Rapunzel and that's why I love it so much. I didn't grow up with I think the Brothers Grimm. I didn't grow up with the Brothers Grimm, but I did grow up with Barbie Rapunzel, and I love that movie. So I think that's also partly why I love the Disney version so much. Anyway, let's going back. This is one of the outfits where it's not really a modern version. It's more like a casual it's a casual modern take on her iconic purple dress. I also didn't make her go barefoot. I mean, let's be real. If she's walking around barefoot in the forest, she's stepping on some twigs and bugs. However, I would rather be barefoot than wear glass slippers. These women go through a lot of shit with their feet. Oh my god. I don't know what Disney's thinking. Anyway, let's go back to talking about the movie because I really love this one. I know it's one of the first movies that wasn't in the classic cartoon style animations, whatever. But I really love that it wasn't. I don't know. It's just when I look at the photos or clips of that Tangled cartoon show that they did, I just feel really bored or uninterested. But honestly, what do I know? All I know is that I enjoyed this movie, and it's one of the only movies where each and every character was memorable to me. Cinderella, I barely remember the evil stepsisters' names. Actually, it's only the one sister I don't know the name of. The one with the black hair. I only know the ginger's name because of Cinderella 3. Iconic, by the way. I skip over Cinderella 2 and just go straight to 3. In fact, I don't think I've ever watched the second one. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, this is one of the only movies where each character is remarkable or memorable to me. It's not I'm not only talking about Rapunzel, Eugene, and Mother Gothel. They're not the only ones that are significant to me. There's also, the horse, Max, and Pascal, I want to say chameleon. Almost said lizard there. And then there's also the drunken man in diapers, the man with a hook for a hand who can play the piano, the palace guards. It's all these characters and elements that just make me really love this movie, which is why I'm wary about the live action version, because what if they make me extremely disappointed? And what if they change something that's already so good? The same can be said for all the other remakes, but this is the one that's coming out when my frontal lobe is fully developed. So it's significant to me. Anyway, next up we have Jasmine. Growing up, she was my favorite Disney princess. I actually dressed up as her one time for Halloween when I was 4 or 5 or maybe 6. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I really don't know if that was my choice or my mom's choice, because I did also dress up as Ariel. I think I spray painted my hair red for that costume. Anyway, moving on. Jasmine is the princess of Agrabah. Agrabah. Sorry, I just don't like to pronounce it in a white way. I don't know. And I might not have even pronounced it properly. Anyway, so Agrabah is a Middle Eastern kingdom ruled by her father, the Sultan. She is rebellious and outspoken. She rebukes the oppressive control of her kingdom's outdated laws and longs for freedom beyond the sheltered confines of palace walls. A complex and multi-layered person, Jasmine is introduced as feisty and no-nonsense, with zero tolerance for anyone who dares to belittle her. Having been sheltered most of her life due to her social status, the princess spent her childhood in misery and loneliness, as she was denied any friendships, with her social interactions being restricted to the royal court, but because of her gender, she was frequently disrespected by the Akraba elite. The emotional and psychological impact of having her entire life controlled and her existence reduced to nothing more than an object of desire caused Jasmine to become blunt, assertive, and rebellious during her adolescence, as she started to resent her role as a princess. With each passing year, Jasmine became more frustrated with all the traditions her role demanded her to uphold, including being forced to remain within the palace at all times, forced to marry for political gain rather than love, and being valued only for her beauty rather than her individuality. Jasmine is a young Arabian woman of average height and incredible beauty. She has light brown skin, cheekbones, high cheekbones, red lips, brown almond eyes, and long jet black hair. Let me tell you something, yeah. Before I watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think Jasmine was one of my bisexual awakenings. When I saw her in that red outfit, that was something. I was a child, yeah, and the fact that that scene never escaped me is very telling. Which brings me to this. I do really appreciate the live action versions for correcting some of the weird stuff in the animated versions. I like that this specific scene wasn't so, I don't know, sexy and sultry. It sounds weird calling it that, but I don't know how else to describe it. I do also like that they test screen some stuff. Like, I know the Beast was supposed to be shirtless when he turned back into a human. Although the growl in the end was kind of weird. I digress. I've gotten real distracted here. Going back to The Sims, I did end up fixing Jasmine and Tiana. I just wasn't satisfied with like their face shapes and also the skin overlays that I used for them. I just felt like while I did try to follow the Disney look with the circular faces and big eyes, I just didn't think it worked with the way I created them. Anyway, I also just didn't really vibe with Jasmine's outfit, so honestly, I was scouring. I tried my best to find an Arabian outfit that felt very Jasmine. There's this dress that I really wish was a set instead, because I love the skirt portion, but it ended up being too revealing that I was just like, I wasn't sure if it was offensive to the culture, so I just ended up not using it. I also just really wanted to give her okay, I'm not entirely sure if it's just called a headscarf or if you would also consider this a hijab, but I really wanted to use this one from L'Oreal, but it was glitching into her face, so I just gave up on it and then decided to change her hair. I just felt like the braids weren't it.
Okay, hi. You would call it a hijab. It would be considered a hijab if she is Muslim, but I don't think in the movies it was explicitly stated that she practices the Islamic religion. So, yeah. And I know that she's wearing a bindi. I know that she's supposed to be Arab, but in the live action version, they chose an Indian woman, specifically Naomi Scott, who is of British Indian descent. So that's why she is wearing a bindi, just to sort of like pay homage to Naomi.
Last but not least, we have Aurora, who is also known as Briar Rose. She's the daughter of King Stephen and Queen Leah. On the day of her christening, Aurora was cursed by the evil fairy Maleficent to die from pricking her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel before sunset on her 16th birthday. Because of the efforts of the three good fairies, the curse was altered to instead draw Aurora into a deep sleep that could only be broken by true love's kiss. Aurora is a kind, elegant, graceful, angelic, loving, and gentle person, as well as a hopeless romantic. At first, she is seen as a slightly shy person, playful, and a carefree young woman as a result of being sheltered for most of her life. Aurora is very loyal and honest to her quote unquote aunts and usually obeys their rules respectfully, even though she may disagree with them. Aurora is a beautiful young woman who was magically blessed with long, waist length, wavy, golden blonde hair like sunshine, violet eyes, and lips that shame the red rose. She has a tall, slender figure, a Dutch's nose, and her skin is fair and flawless. Unlike the Disney princesses created before her, Snow White and Cinderella, and even the others created after, such as Ariel, Rapunzel, and Moana, for example. Her face is less rounded and more angular and refined, giving her an appearance of maturity rather than youth, despite being only 16. I actually don't have much to say about Aurora. I'm not a great fan of her character or movie, even though I did love Maleficent, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, her outfit also, similar to Rapunzel and Tiana, is just a recreation of what she wore in the movie. But I didn't know much about Aurora in the animated version, so I didn't really know what to make her wear. Honestly, I was thinking of going more cottagecore because of the fact that, she lives in the forest for she lived in the forest for most of her life. But I thought her black corset dress was already kind of cottagecore-esque, so I just sort of went with that vibe. Anyway, since I don't really have much to say about Aurora, I'm gonna end the video here. So thank you so much for watching, and if you stayed and listened, the link to the CC list is in the description box below. If you want me to share them to the gallery, let me know in the comments down below, or over on Patreon, as I do log into Patreon every day as compared to this account here. Anyway, I'll leave y'all here, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to me if you want to, as that really helps out my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!